Hey internet, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a brand new bullet journal video for September, and the theme I'm going for this month is gardening because it is September, which means this is the first month of spring in Australia. The weather is finally warming up and I couldn't be happier. I just feel this is exactly what we need given the times. And the best thing about the start of spring is that I finally get to start this year's vegetable and herb garden. I spent the last weekend actually setting up our new vegetable plot and also setting up our sort of miniature herb garden. So next weekend we're planning to plant both our passion fruit and lime tree, which are currently still sitting in pots. We bought them last year, but they were a little too small to go straight in the ground, so we kind of put them into larger pots, and over the last year they've grown substantially, which I'm very excited for, so I can't wait to finally put them in the ground and watch them flourish. We've been in stage 4 lockdown for about 4 weeks now, so 2 more weeks to go, and I feel like it couldn't be more well timed given the weather is finally starting to warm up. I think we're pretty lucky that we have a decent garden to spend time outdoors, like there's enough space for us to go outside, breathe some fresh air, and just kind of indulge in being in nature. Anyways, back to the garden. So last year was our first real attempt at a vegetable and herb garden, and to be honest, we got so many learnings from that. For one, read the packet. That seems so common sense, but we really didn't read the packet enough. Make sure you don't overwater, and probably good to be a little bit more focused. We tried to plant so many different things because we were just really excited, so we were just going crazy. And I think this year we're going to try and be a lot more intentional with our garden. We're focusing on growing things that bring us some sort of value, so like stuff that we definitely will use in our cooking, stuff that's difficult to get at the supermarket, or even stuff that we'd only need a small amount of each time, but if we buy it at the supermarket, we'd have to buy a ton of it. Spring onion for me is a really good example because I tend to use that more for garnishing, and I have to buy an entire bunch, and so I don't need the whole bunch, so I will buy it, use like a quarter of it, and then it goes bad. It doesn't last very long in the fridge. So it feels like a waste. So spring onion is definitely one of the things I'm growing in my herb garden. But yeah, I'm really excited, and I think the fun of growing really can help with my mental health, especially given the lockdown. I think it's because gardening is not only labor intensive, so good exercise, but it requires your attention, so you can't really let your mind drift to other things too easily. I find that if I'm too idle, I tend to dwell on like work problems or personal problems or just any problems that really don't need dwelling about. So gardening is really good for that. And because it's outdoors, it's away from social media and technology, so I literally cannot spend hours scrolling on Instagram or reading Twitter or anything like that. And it really forces you to just focus on the now and what is really important. So for me, I find gardening really rewarding and actually really good for myself. So onto my habit tracker. I've changed it up just a little bit in that I've put the title in the middle of the page and I've added 3 extra habits. So I thought I would quickly go through them. So the first habit I have is watering. I just want to keep track of how often I'm watering my garden. And then we have 10K, which is 10,000 steps a day. I'm actually doing September this month with a few co-workers. So the goal is to get to 10,000 steps every single day in September to raise money for cerebral palsy. I don't think I'm going to get to 10K every day. I mean, we are literally on day 2 and I think I did like maybe 800 steps yesterday. So yeah. The next one is Japanese, Nihongo, and it's really tracking how often I study. I think if I can get in at least 30 minutes of focused study a day, then I count that as something I can track. The next one is vitamins. I take vitamin D because I don't go out very often. And then we've got face masks, which is more around skincare. Stickers just tracks how often I am doing sticker shop related work. Then we have Instagram, tracking how often I post. YouTube, which is not only just how often I post, but also around how much time I spend or how many days I spend working on YouTube videos. Same with blogging, how many days I spend blogging. New word, that is a new habit. So one of the things I really want to do is actually take an English dictionary and literally from the start go through it. And if I find a word that I haven't heard of before, then I want to write it down in one of my journals and then create a sentence with it. And I would love to learn some new words in English just to expand my horizons. So that's one of the goals I'm setting myself. Meditate is just making sure that I try to do some meditation every day because I find it's been really helping with my anxiety. And then the last one is reading, just making sure that I keep reading. I have only completed 1 book this year, even though my goal was to do 24 books this year. So It's going to be a bit of a cram session these next few months, but I'm still determined to try and hit that goal. Okay, now we are onto the mood tracker, and it's pretty same as the previous month. I decided for this month I would draw a bunch of pots, lots of different shapes and sizes for pots, and then I would grow whichever herb I'm feeling on the day. It's interesting because I feel like when you've grown herbs for a while, you kind of start to categorize them as happy herbs, angry herbs, sad herbs, mostly based on how easy or hard they are to grow. So for example, herbs like rosemary, I find insanely easy to grow. So to me, that's like a happy herb. But basil, which is technically easy to grow, but I feel like it's really temperamental and sensitive because it can get eaten by snails and slugs really easily. If the climate is not perfect, it doesn't grow very well. Yeah, so to me, that could fall into like the sad or angry category. As you can see, originally I thought I would color the pots all different sorts of colors, but I soon realized I didn't really have any real strategy behind this, and it was starting to look really messy and uncoordinated. So I decided to just go ahead and go with something way more cohesive and stick to different shades of brown. So now we go over to the monthly view, and I went with a very similar layout to last month. As I mentioned before, we're still in lockdown, so I don't really have many things going on, hence the smaller monthly view. Lockdown for stage 4 is supposed to end on the 13th of September, but I mean, honestly, given the cases they're going down, but then probably not going down as fast as the government would like, I kind of have a feeling stage 4 might get extended just a little bit longer. So I think I'm not really going to need the space. I've also decided to include monthly goals because I realized last month I didn't really have a section for any goals or actions that spanned over the course of more than 1 week. So I thought this would be a nice little space to put that. To be honest, the only real standout this month for me is the AFL public holiday. I know, I live my life based on public holidays, but I'm not 100% sure if it's still on, although I'm pretty sure it is because I could imagine Melburnians seriously rioting if a public holiday was taken away from them. And finally, we come to the time tracker. So I actually started doing this last month and I thought it went really well, except I found it a little bit too flexible at tracking time. So I decided this month I would add a little bit more structure to it with markers and extra lines. I saw a design like this when I was Googling for examples and I fell in love. I thought it was perfect. The only downside is that it took so long to put together because you have to draw so many lines, so many markers, and I'm using a ruler so it slows it down even more. Sped up, it looks fine, but in real life, it is super slow. So like last month, I'm going to be tracking my sleep, the hours I work in my day job, the hours I work in my second job, and the hours I work for my own projects. And if you're curious, time management wise for my second job has been a little bit challenging. I feel like now my mind feels like it can never really take a break from work, if that makes sense, because there's always something going on. At least with my day job, it was a clear time separation between work hours and non-work hours. But now that I have to make my own hours for the second job, trying to figure out how that works while still meeting all the demands of the job itself has been, a little challenging. But I'm going to give it a bit more time and see if things settle into a nice routine because I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot and honestly, it's a great experience. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoy this plan with me. I actually really love this month's theme and how everything turned out. Some months don't feel very satisfying, but I feel like this month is really satisfying. So yes, thank you so much for watching. This is Celina reporting from my room. Back to you, internet.